Sundress and a golden smile. She's a sweetheart in a little while, and she speaks soft like a lullaby. And she just turned 23.
And good morning, everyone, and good morning to my good friend and brother from Canada, Patrick. Good morning,
A
Patrick.
good morning, sunshine.
How's it going? I love it that we're both like samers today. We're
Yeah.
both wearing black
Got the
t-shirts,
blue.
and we have
got-
blue. Mine's a little bright. I'm currently suntanning because the lights are so a little bit bright this morning. But
Thank God for sun, man. Not gonna lie.
it's been so hot here in Minnesota. Like the humidity today, I think today or tomorrow, it's supposed to be in the 90s with humidity.
That's fine.
You like that? Are you more
Get-
of a cold or a hot person?
Oh, I'm a hot person.
Are you?
I'm so hot. You know?
Easy.
I love the hot. I actually sunburned my neck this week because as soon as there's sun, I just run outside and just go.
You're done.
You know,
You're
yeah,
done.
I love it.
Cool.
Love it.
Cool. So how are things with you? Everything going well? I haven't talked to you in, oh God, it's been at least 12 hours or so.
Yeah, approximately.
Everyone.
Well, for everyone who hasn't heard about anything in the past week, it's going great. It's going
Excellent.
great, man. A lot of
Excellent.
stuff as always. I'm always, super busy, keeping myself busy. There's always something going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just keeps me busy. How about you?
Pretty good. Busy this week. I have a lot of stuff going on as well, as always.
As always, right? When
but,
when don't we have anything going
I
on?
don't know. It's always good to be busy, I guess, but it's nice to find a balance. You need to find a balance in life
Yeah.
in general. But today I want to talk to you, Pat, about sometimes it's difficult when you're in relationships or in friendships, like in a relationship like you and me,
Yeah.
to have difficult conversations. It's hard to talk about the bad things sometimes. It's hard to talk about tough stuff. And the reason why I
You're
bring
right.
this up this morning is a couple of days ago, you I don't know, I just sensed something in you, and you sent me a text message out of the blue. And I know normally, so for those of you listening, normally Pat and I text him in the morning. Usually I text him in the morning. I say good morning in the mornings, just because I usually go through this thing in the morning. I always text my partner when she's not here, good morning, beautiful, every day.
You don't text me
And,
that.
That's the first thing I do in the morning. When I open my eyes, I text her, good morning, beautiful.
You don't say beautiful to me though.
No. But she gets beautiful. And then usually I text Pat, but then Pat texts me like the night before, and he said, I need some time. I need to figure some stuff out. And it was a very heavy text message from Pat that I wasn't used to. So obviously overthinking kicks in, and a little bit of fight or flight kicks in. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I fix this? I'm really nervous right now because I don't know what he's going through. I know I'm getting better with my secure attachment styles, because anxious attachment would have been going to delta.com and getting a ticket and flying to Pat to make sure he was okay, because I was just like, I need to make this right. So Pat said that to me, and then I thought about it. I'm like, what do I say back? And I knew he was doing a live. So I went to his live and I saw his eyes on the live, and I was like, I'm done. I can't even look at this guy right now because it was too much. There was so much weight there. And the next morning we chatted about some things that were business related. As far as the podcast goes, we talked about some personal things that you were dealing with, Pat, in the last couple of days, that were difficult to talk about. And actually, I don't know if they were difficult to talk about on your end, but on my end, they were difficult to hear because I got into defensive mode very quickly, because there were things that were bothering you about individuals and people and work and just life in general, right? And they were bothering you, and I instantly went into defense mode instantly. And I was like, are you talking about me? What did I do to you? In my head, obviously. I didn't say that out loud. But I think in general, when we have conversations that are harder to talk about, especially in relationships, and if your mental health is not quite there and you are maybe just like worried, there's that lack of respect for one another that goes out the window. You're always in defense mode. And I don't know, it was hard, but we got through it. We talked about it, but it took me a couple of days to recover from that. I'm going to be honest with you, because I went into fix it mode, because it was a conversation that we normally don't have together. It was a conversation that there was things that you brought up from months, maybe over a year ago. When I was on a live talking about the Rolex, I was going to donate the Rolex to you and you're going to sell it. And then we're going to help people. I talked about that for real with you on a live. And you said, yeah, people brought it up. It's just like life takes over. It wasn't that it wasn't happening. It was just life took over. But we had that conversation in the same context of the day that you were having a bad day. So all these things were built up in you. So I want to talk this morning about how we do that in relationships and how we sandbag in our head sometimes, all these different buckets that get filled with different things that, well, yeah, this person said this and this person said that. And then it comes out and it explodes out, right? Where I think it's healthier if you talk about them maybe sooner and not bucket these things. But that was my perception of what happened to us. I would like to hear on your side how you felt when that happened that day. Or, it was a couple of days worth of.
Well, I mean, there's an expression that says when it rains, it pours, right? And that's kind of been my reality, I would say, in the past, 2-3 weeks. When it rains, it pours. Everything happens at the same time. It's rare that life will just say, hey, you know what, let me just send you a little challenge here and there. And then, get on top of that, get over it, and then move on to something else. It usually goes, hey, you're lacking excitement in your life right now. I'm going to fuck you up. That's basically what it does. So it hits you with all kinds of, different news, bad ones, good ones, and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, I think that vibration that you're on is attracting these things. Mm-hmm. And so it just comes one after the other. Mm-hmm. And the whole Rolex thing, by the way, was not a conversation that we had last year that I was bringing back up. No. It's just that in that moment, somebody brought it up. Right. And I was like, shit, I forgot about that. Right. And everything happens at the same time. So yes, I agree with you that I think whether it's a love relationship or a friend relationship, it's definitely easier to talk about things as they progress. But what do you do when everything hits you at the same time? Yeah. Then, that's the in French we say c'est la goutte qui a fait déborder le verre.
I need to say that 1 second. C'est la goutte. C'est la goutte.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the last part? What was the second thing?
Qui fait déborder le verre.
Oh my God. C'est la goutte, c'est de faire bille de l'eau.
Yeah, no.
That was pretty good. I think it was pretty good.
What does it mean? It's like it's a cherry on the sundae. It's a cherry on the sundae. It's like that last thing that you needed to basically flip a switch and just go, ape shit, And so 100%, you're right. I think that these conversations, if they're happening progressively, then yes, have them when it happens. Don't accumulate and then explode. But in certain situations, you don't have that time to accumulate. It just happens and it explodes.
Right.
And that was kind of my situation.
And I agree with you. But I think in the moments when you're dealing with the shit, you're not going to obviously now that we've talked about it and we understand where we stand on the situation that happened and things that you're dealing with, in those moments, you're not going to be like, I'm having a moment. Let me call someone to talk to them about it. You're not going to do that. You're kind of fending for yourself in that moment, right? You're like, okay, I'm not going to call Mario. I'm not going to call Neha. I'm not going to call the people that are closest to me in my life and be like, hey, guess what? Blah, 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 because they have their own lives. You're like, I don't want to bother them with this stuff or whatever the case may be. Now let's look at it in a relationship style, like in a loving relationship. And the situation that you're dealing with has to do with them, or has to do with you in something you want to talk to them about. But again, if you have, depending what attachment style you have, avoidance, you're never talking about it. Just so you know.
They're gone. They're already gone. They're already, they already stopped listening to this conversation.
Yeah. They're like, click.
I'm out.
So anxious attachments, they're going to overanalyze everything to figure out why you're having these thoughts, but again, how do you navigate that? So maybe we should do some role playing this morning. How's that?
Some role playing?
Yeah. Like we can be like, I have a situation that I'm going to throw a situation out to you and I want you to have the hard conversation with me about it. Okay.
Yeah, we could do that.
You want to do that? Okay. So the first scenario we're doing this morning is, you spent too much money. Okay. You spent too much money, and you didn't tell me that you bought something for yourself, and now there's not enough money to pay the bills at the end of the month, or there's not enough money to cover that. You didn't pay a bill and you went out and bought something instead. And you're going to have that conversation with me.
Jesus Lord. Okay. See, this is a context I wouldn't ever put myself in. So I've never done that.
Okay.
I've never done that, but I know people do it. So now I have to put myself in the shoes of someone who would do that, which is going to be tough.
This is actually good, because then I'll see how you do it. And then coming from me, where I've been there before, where I spent way too much money when I was in my complete manic episode, where you just spent money. That was my dopamine. And it was funny. I was talking about this with my therapist a couple of days ago, where nowadays, because I'm in therapy, I have my mental health in check, and I understand how my brain functions and works. When I have those situations, I see a problem, I identify the problem. I talk to my brain. If my brain's sad or angry, I justify the emotions that I'm having. It's okay. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm pissed off at this person. These are real emotions. Identify that. And then solutions and coping mechanisms. That's what I do these days. In the past, would be like emotions. I'm sad. I'm angry. I better go buy something. That's what I would do. I would get that dopamine dump for buying something. So back to what I asked.
Say I had this issue. I want to call it an issue. Okay. Say I had this issue. Here's the first thing I would do. I say, hey babe.
Oh my God. Can we just say, when you say, hey,
I'm going to
babe,
call you babe.
No, don't call me, dude. You can't, because when you say, hey babe, you turn into Patrick TikTok mode and your eyes change.
Hey babe.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
It's too early.
All right. Hey Mario.
Hey dude. What's up? Oh, we're roommates.
We're
roommates. We're roommates. We have to pay bills together. We're roommates.
Okay. Listen, Mario, I fucked up.
Dude.
I fucked up.
Did you sleep with her for real?
No. Listen, I fucked up. I know we've been roommates for a while, and we have that account together. We're supposed to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. I'm going to admit something to you. Like, I've done a lot of self-reflection. I realize I have an issue. I have a problem.
Okay, dude, I'm going to stop you right there. If you say you spent the money that we had set aside for the bachelor party, I'm going to lose my mind right now. We've been saving for this for a while, but I'm going to let you continue because dude,
I know,
for
dude.
real.
And I don't know how to say this otherwise, but I did.
Dude,
I did.
Why would you do that?
Listen, like I said, bro, like I have an issue. It is a coping mechanism for me. It's what I do when
mechanism do you have from spending our money?
Well, what do you mean? I'm trying to explain to you right now.
I know, but I don't want, why would you do that?
Can you just hear me out?
No, I don't want to hear you out. You spent the money. That's it. What is there to hear out right now?
This role play is so mean, bro.
Okay, scene.
Don't make me lose my
people logging in, they're like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
What is going on?
I hope you start listening to that. But here's the thing.
Why are you so mean in our role play, bro? Be nice.
No, I don't want to be nice. I want to push you. But here's the thing. I think in most relationships, I don't know most relationships, but I think in a majority of relationships, what did I do? I went into defense mode very quickly, right? I went into defense mode and anger right away. And then I filled in the blank for you. I was like, if you even say this, if you even say, when I said that to you, if you even say you spent the money for the bachelor party, dude, I'm going to lose my mind. What was the feeling you felt when I said that to you?
Well, dude, I mean, it's simple to me. How is this a conversation? This is already turned into an argument. I haven't even explained what I've done.
But I'm not asking you about the situation. What was the feeling you had when I said, if you even say it, I'm gonna lose my mind? What was that feeling?
It's an attack. I'm feeling attacked.
You're feeling attacked.
We're feeling attacked right away.
Anger?
So obviously, no.
Okay.
Because right now it's incomprehension. Like I don't even understand why you're reacting this way when I haven't even said it yet.
But you had no anger, zero anger.
No.
You weren't angry that I was yelling at you.
Not yet. I mean, again, that wasn't really yelling to me.
No.
Like I've had.
Right, I understand that. But were you comfortable going on? You told me
100%. Yeah,
you were comfortable moving on and telling me about that.
Yeah. Again, look, it's self-reflection. I mean, to me, if you can self-reflect, that's a major green flag. I've talked about this, many times. If you can self-reflect, that is a huge green flag for me. So if you can sit me down and have that conversation, already I have that much more respect for you. Instead of you just, hiding or accumulating everything under the carpet or whatever the case may be, I have way more respect for you if you can sit me down and have these difficult conversations, and if you can do it politely and calmly. Now, again, you started off kind of like defensive mode. The tone was rising a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of situation that I would be at the end. I'd be like, you know what? Do whatever you got to do and calm down, and then come back to me when you're done.
Okay. Turn your Discord off.
I know that's what I'm about to do. Yeah. Banging.
So, and I agree with you, but I, from what I've seen in relationships, okay, from what I've seen with friends and being in a house, like how weird is that when you're in someone's house and they have a conversation? I've been there. I've been in those situations where someone starts talking in the kitchen and you can hear them talking about shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I want to be sucked into this couch right now and go into another dimension. I don't want to be here. Right. But you hear those situations, you're like, I've been in those situations where it's like, shit, I'm so happy I'm not in that kitchen right now having this conversation, because that's freaky. Right. But I think I've heard people react like I did to you very quickly.
Yeah.
And, I think a majority of people are that fight or flight. As I mentioned earlier, there's, respect out the window. It's gone. They're afraid.
Consideration.
There's nothing there,
Yeah.
And if those are the reactions I think you're getting in those kind of moments when you're trying to navigate those conversations, I really believe that the relationship, even up to that point, has terrible communication. Not even for the bad stuff or the good stuff. They're not communicating properly. You're not communicating with your partner if you can't have those conversations. And I should have merit badges for that shit, because my partner for years always tried to bring up hard conversations with me. She always wanted to talk about when we had businesses together, the money situation. It was always a relevant thing, because that's why I brought that up this morning, because it's relevant in my life. Right.
Yeah,
where
definitely.
She would say, hey, especially after COVID in the restaurant industry, dude, it was so hard. Right. And it was like, I had my mental health was poor and declining, and I had to get that dopamine dump from somewhere. And I was spending money and I was doing all these different things, and I was trying to open more businesses and doing all these different things. And she was like, listen, we need to have these tough conversations that I know you don't like to have, but we need to have these. We need to talk about this. And it was very emotional for her, and emotional and draining, because she wanted to have these conversations with me. And on the other side, there was her partner that was running for the hills every single time, not wanting to have these conversations. And I just don't understand at times what they must go through, like what someone else may go through.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, there's a phrase that I read at some point that really changed my mindset about those things, and it's not, when you're in a relationship, it's the both of you against the problem, not you against the other. I think a lot of people have a tendency to do that. They have a tendency to, whenever they face a problem, it's like all of a sudden it becomes me against you. Who's going to be right? Who's going to be wrong? Who's going to win the argument? It's not about winning the argument, bro. It's about finding a solution to the problem that you're arguing about, right? And every time, like, with the last relationship I had, when those situations happened, for the, little amounts that happened, I was always telling myself that in my mind. As it was happening, I was like, you know what? It's us against the problem. It's not me against her. It's us against the problem. And I will remain calm until there's disrespect. Here's the thing about me, though. Once there's disrespect, then I'm going to match your level. I'm going to stay super calm until you disrespect me. Once you disrespect me, I'm matching your vibe. I'm matching your attitude. And then
why not walk away?
Because basically, here's the thing. When someone talks down to you like that, you do not let someone do that to you. Okay, I'm all about self-worth, right? You do not let someone talk down to you as if you're stupid, as if you don't know anything, or whatever the case may be. You do not let someone walk all over you and let it be. Okay, because once you give them that shot, once you give them that chance to do it, they're going to do it over and over and over again. It's us going back to the setting boundaries episode. Mm-hmm. That, to me, is setting boundary. You cannot talk to me like this. I'm not going to walk away, because if I walk away, they're going to tell themselves probably, I won. No, it doesn't work like that. I'm setting a boundary. You do not talk to me this way. Let's find a way to talk to each other. We're going to sit down. We're going to fix this until we can learn to talk to each other and communicate. That's how I would think about it today. Old Patrick, no. Old Patrick would have probably walked away, but is walking away the right solution? No. If things get way too heated and the both of you agree to walk away, but you say, hey, listen, let's take a break and come back to each other. I love you, but right now I can't talk. That's a different story. Again, it comes back to communication. But if you're just walking away without saying anything, dude, now it's another slap in the face. Now you just hit another level. So, in these difficult conversations, you need to learn your partner by heart. And what I mean by that is look at the way they act, look at the way they react, look at the way your body language changes, look at the way their eyes speak volumes, and figure out how to handle those different situations. Once you learn your partner, then you can adjust and talk in ways that'll reassure them, act in ways that will reassure them. But if you just don't give a shit, it's never going to end well. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. But a lot of people don't want to even start those conversations.
No, and a lot of people, you put two avoidants together, what happens? They don't have these conversations. So they just accumulate. They put everything under the rug. And then at some point, that rug has got like this huge, like accumulation of problems. And eventually it explodes. It's going to catch up.
Do you think that, we talk about avoidance, and I know we know a lot of avoidance in our lives.
Yeah.
Do you think we all have a little bit of avoided innocent situations where we don't want to talk about the hard things? Because,
100%.
Or is it like, I don't see it as an avoidant. I don't know what this is. Maybe you can help me with this one. When I have a situation that I want to bring up with my partner, these days it kind of goes through a committee in my head. There's a whole committee that it has to go
You've talked
through.
about that before. Yeah.
So, and then eventually I bring it up and talk about it because I think it's obviously important that I need to talk to her about it. Right. So, do you think that's an avoidant tendency? Or is it just like, self-reflection, or because at times I was like, I want to tell her everything, but I really wanted to send it through the filter first.
Right. So you said it before, that conversation that we had. I sent you a text. That text said what? It said, hey, I'm going through some stuff. I got to figure it out. I'll be back. It's a way of avoidance, right?
ADHD saw that message and it was like, I'll be back. When?
Terminator.
I need, I'll be back can mean anything. I'll be back in 5 years.
Not ADHD. That's anxious.
Yeah. Well, no, it's ADHD. You need to be very definite.
Okay.
Well,
so that's an avoidant behavior. That's me not wanting to talk right now. I didn't want to talk about it. Here's the thing about it. And I love this about the people around me. I have a lot of people who truly, truly care and love me. I really do. And, I can count them on both hands. There's not that many, but the ones that are there, they are there like crazy. And so what happens sometimes is when I'm going through shit, everybody wants to check up on me. And I love that. But at the same time, it's like me, explaining the problem, then hanging up and another person calling me right after, and then I have to re-explain the problem again. And that's what starts getting a little overwhelming, I would say, right? Whereas I would just, like your committee, I'd love to just sit everybody down at a table and say, okay, guys, look, you all want to check up on me. Thank you. I love you.
We got a board meeting tomorrow at 3.
Exactly. I'm going to tell you my story. Everyone's going to be on the same page. You're all going to know at the same time. So yes, sometimes those are avoidant tendencies. When it becomes overwhelming and there's just too much stuff going on, you can back away, but you can also communicate it, which I think is a huge difference. A lot of people walk away and they don't say shit.
Yeah, because it's scary.
Of course.
It's a scary situation. And I think it's really important what you just mentioned, to have those people. There's certain people where I'm not afraid to talk about. There's certain people that I'm not afraid to bring something up and to talk about it, because I think overarching is the worry of judgment. What are they going to think of me? And the people that are in your life, the people that are in that tight circle, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You can say anything.
No, because that's the thing. When you have those people, you don't even ask yourself that question. What are they going to think of me? For a fact, they've seen you in every single situation. Mm-hmm. They've seen you cry. They've seen you butt naked. I'm just kidding, but every situation.
Finger and butt.
Ooh, they've seen you in all those aspects, right? And they would have judged you.
You said aspects.
I know.
Finger and butt.
Your thing didn't kick in yet, eh?
My Adderall, it's getting there, but it's fun.
It's getting there?
People like it.
I know. People like it.
That's why I take it right before the show, because the ADHD is like,
It's just like,
did I tell you? Here we go. And
there we go.
now a story from Mario.
Commercial break.
We went camping for the weekend and I forgot to bring my Adderall with me.
Oh crap.
Oh, dude. Like, so Sunday, it was okay. I mean, I felt okay. But Sunday on the way home, in the car, my partner was talking and asking questions. And I look at her and I'm like, I love you, but we can't talk right now. There's so much going on. Like, and I said, especially don't ask me anything that you want a definite answer on, because as soon as you ask me, it goes right to bad, and all the possible outcomes of bad from that. And then anxiety kicks in. Oh, dude, it was rough. And then when we get home, Dante usually runs in the house. He can't wait to get to his bedroom. I felt the exact same thing when we pulled in with the camper. I was like, I need to get my Adderall because it was just like, I couldn't wait. So, and we're back to the show. Thank you for that commercial break by ADHD.
This commercial was brought to you by ADHD.
So
yes.
To your point, I wanted to say something. So a friend of mine, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about things. He suffers from ADHD as well. And he has bipolar. And we were talking about his new business. And he was saying that the one thing I don't want my wife to be is upset because of my decisions or something I did. Because something happened and he called me and he's telling me about it. And he was like in the closet. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing in the closet? And he's like,
the closet.
I don't want to say her name, but I don't want her to hear, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I just let him voice it out. And then I was going to tell him, I said, you need to like say something. You need to talk to her about this. You know, like she knows about the business. You need to tell her what you did. It's a mistake. It's a big mistake, you know, but, and then several hours later, he FaceTimed me and he was in the room with her and he's like, hey, I told her, you know, about what was going on. And he got choked up for a second. He's like, I just don't want her to be upset with me. I don't want her to feel sad. I'm like, I said, and I looked at him, I said, dude, that's not up to you. That's not up to you. She's allowed to have that emotion. She's allowed to be pissed off at you for making a mistake.
Yeah.
She loves you. She's married to you, but she's allowed. I was like, how dare you? That's what I told him, actually. How dare you put that on her? How dare you say that, oh, I don't want her to be upset, so I'm not going to tell her. That's not up to you. That's up to her. She can say, dude, you're a bitch ass idiot for making that stupid mistake. And I'm going to the room and I don't want to see you for the rest of the night. She's not saying I'm packing my bags and leaving, you know, she's saying you made a mistake and I need some time to process because then we're going to talk about this, you know? And that's what I'm talking about. Having those hard conversations and the reason I brought money up was because that was at the back of my head this morning. Most people, they shy away or go to a friend because the friend won't be so mad at them.
Bro, let me ask you this, okay? What's wrong with having a difficult conversation?
What do you mean what's wrong?
Well, it's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's so bad or, you know, just not well seen about having a difficult conversation? What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with having difficult conversations.
Well, yes, there is. If you're not in that frame of mind, that's you, like when we said, let's talk about money. You're like, I never had that issue, Mr. Moneybags over there. I'm fine.
I didn't say that.
I know that.
I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that I never had a behavior where I was going out to spend money. So it's not, I'm not saying I apologize. I apologize. The contrary, you know me well. I'm not Moneybags at all, but, it's not me going out there spending stuff when I'm feeling something.
Right.
Okay. But my question is, what's wrong? Let's say I did have that issue, because that is an issue. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's say I did have that issue. What's wrong with me talking about that problem? It's like if you're telling me that an alcoholic shouldn't talk about his alcohol problems because
it's difficult. Alcoholics don't talk about their alcohol problems until shit really hits the fan.
Which comes back to my question. Why, as a society, do we think having these difficult conversations is bad? Why is it wrong?
I don't know. That's a very, very good conversation to have. And that's a really good question. And maybe our listeners can comment on this because, you know, as an anxious attachment for many, many years, and I still live there sometimes, but as an anxious attachment, you don't want to feel what's wrong with it. you don't want to feel bad. You don't want to feel ashamed. You don't want to feel judged. You don't want to fill out all the big words, you know?
So now let me ask you this.
Yes.
Imagine being in a relationship like that. Like this is my secure coming out like crazy.
I think 70%
Okay?
or 80% of people are in relationships like that, dude.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. This is my secure coming out like big time. Imagine being in a relationship like that.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a relationship where you don't feel heard, where you don't feel seen, where you have to walk on eggshells. Think about it. When you say it out loud, how stupid that sounds.
It's not stupid, dude. It's horrifying. And here's why it's horrifying. I was in that relationship, but I was the person doing it.
Right.
I was the person on the other side making this amazing, loving, beautiful person in my life miserable because I didn't want to have those conversations.
Right.
So this conversation with you today hits home, and
It's a huge
I'm excited to
self-reflection.
talk about it because it's me. Here's the thing. I'm talking to you about it right now, and I'm giddy as fuck talking to you about it because I see the changes and how much I've improved and how life can look so much better if you take care of your mental health, understand that communication in a relationship is everything, everything, and respect for one another and sense of autonomy in your relationship. That person is with you. They love you, but they are their own person and have their own wants and needs. And if you don't communicate, and some people, they just coexist with one another. Is like, well, we started dating in high school, and and we're lovers, now we're married, and they lose all sense of self.
Yeah.
Include me and you. We were both there. And
it's all you know.
When you said, "Oh, my secure attachment is coming out," or my secure attachment ways, dude, from where we started to now, okay, sometimes your secure attachment comes off like an asshole because it's not the person that I knew that I was like. It was like my little chunk of clay, that I was trying, like, this is Patrick, and I made a little
mold
hand, and I was able to mold him. And I knew that I can move your arm anytime I wanted, and I can twist your head around, and eventually in your secure attachment, that piece of clay started getting harder and harder and harder. And now you're like, I am me now, like this chunk of clay, like I'm like this, and you're there. And when I talk to you,
like, shit, I can't move his arm anymore.
I can't move his fucking arm anymore, like before, and it's okay that you're hard. God, my brain said, say hard. It's okay that you're hard. And my ADHD side's like, don't say it. But anyway, it's okay that you're hard. It's okay that you're hard.
Yeah,
I don't care.
It is.
But that side of it at times for me, when I see it, I'm like, why is he being this way? Like, why is he such an asshole right now?
There's nothing more insulting than someone who sets boundaries. Right.
Oh,
it's so crazy to me that, like, because you're so used, especially when you're a yes man, right? You say yes to everybody. I was like that, right? I was saying yes to everybody, dude.
Absolutely.
Oh, you need something? One for you, like Oprah. I was like, one for you, one for you.
Let me ask you, were you a yes man with everybody, or were you a yes man with everyone that wasn't close to you? Let me ask that again. Everybody.
Yeah.
See, everybody. That's different for me. If you're the people closest, I love the people closest to me, but I would go above and beyond to please someone else, a new person, than someone really close to me, because I felt secure enough, or that attachment.
Validated.
Like I felt like, what did you say?
Validated. You felt that the people close to you had already validated you. So you're like, okay, they're good.
I didn't have to do much. So the yes man situation, I agree with you, but it was like a lot of external for me. And then the people closest to me would be like, hey, can we talk because shit's going bad? I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Because I had to go say yes man to this person because this person's going to like me right now.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely where I lost the most friends, I think, is when I started setting those boundaries. Not because I didn't want to do anything for anybody anymore. It wasn't that. I wanted to do it on my terms. Mm-hmm. And even that was to the other people was like, whoa, what the hell? I don't like this. Yeah. And those are difficult conversations to have. This is a difficult conversation episode. That's part of that when you're setting those boundaries. Those are difficult conversations to have.
And to my point is, when I first met you, when we started talking, we were both kind of broken. That chunk of clay was freaking,
I like that example, by the way.
Pliable.
Nice.
That's a good one.
It's-
Sometimes having ADHD, you come up with some pretty damn good analogies.
Yeah.
But again, now that we started in one way and we developed into this new relationship, and it's funny because when you have those circle people, the people that are closest to you, you're excited to communicate good stuff. Can't wait.
Mhm.
Right. Last night when I text you about a friend headhunting a manager for us, I knew because that's what we're looking for. And I want to we're going to talk about this a little bit at the end of the show today. But right now the Guided podcast is at the point where we're looking for a new manager to help us really guide the business side of the show because Pat and I are too busy and just to guide the business side. But I texted you last night about something really good, right? It's like, hey, I can't wait to talk to you about this. But also I'm able to talk to you or text you about something bad. I can't wait to text you and call you and tell you about something, whether it be good or bad or ugly. I think if you do that with people in your life, if there's people in your life that you can't wait to tell them anything, those are good circle people.
And that comes back to what I just said. So imagine being in a relationship like that, how calming it is, how reassuring it is, how peaceful it is to know that you can tell your partner or your friend anything, knowing that they'll never judge you. It's not going to turn into an argument. They're going to listen. They're going to exchange. Like I've always said this, me and my best friend, AJ, we've been best friends for, 25 years. He's my high school best friend. And we're still awesome. To this day, the biggest of friends. And we call each other. We spend time with each other. I've always said, if I had a relationship, like if I was on the other side of the fence, this is the guy I'd be in a relationship with because we're so good together. It works. And I'm just like, if I could find like the female version of this guy,
version of AJ.
Yeah. It would work because we know for a fact nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever break us apart. And I'm just like, if I could find a relationship like that, how amazing would that be? Right? We can have those difficult conversations. We haven't had a lot, honestly. We haven't had much situations where we had to, but we've had some. And he's made so much progress, dude. It's insane. And I think that just realizing that we're maturing together at our age is like such a beautiful thing. And again, if you're in a relationship and you're scared to have these conversations, like, damn, I don't know how to say this, but like, you need to figure it out. You need to figure it out. Well, I wouldn't say get out. No, don't get out. But like, if that's how you feel, I want you to say it out loud. Like, hey, look, I'm in a relationship with someone that I love, and I can't even talk to them about this, or I can't even talk to them about that. Just say it out loud and realize how silly it sounds to be in a relationship with someone, to be intimate with someone, and to not be able to have serious or difficult conversations. That is not the definition of a relationship, right? So
it goes back to, it's funny you mentioned relations. If you're having I've known people that are in situations or in relationships that talk about this shit all the time when I talk to them, how bad they have it and the shit that they're putting up with. But, a lot of times it is better, usually when we have sex, and then after sex, things are pretty good.
It's called makeup sex. I'm
like,
for a reason.
Okay, but in the minutes that you're having sex, yeah, it's great, but life is more than just that intimacy. I think true intimacy is the shit that we're talking about. The true intimacy. There are times where, remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we talked about inner peace. There are times after that show where I find myself, is this inner peace? Is this inner peace after that show? Because we talk about it, right? But there's times now where I feel like, did I take a sedative? Did I take something today that that is currently making me feel euphoric, and it's inner peace. I feel very peaceful. I feel happy. I've never felt that in 50 years, 47, 8, whenever I started my mental health journey. I never felt inner peace. I never felt it. It was always disturbance,
Right. Chaotic.
There was always that weird frequency in the background. Like we had a couple weeks ago from my light making noise in the background, But it was that my life was that. And then you start feeling that peace. And that peace comes from everything Patrick is saying right now.
How
Everything
did you
he's
just say
saying
my name?
about, what's that?
My name just came out weird there. Pat.
Patrick?
It sounded like Pat, or maybe you lagged, but it sounded like Pat or Rick.
Patrick.
Pat or Rick.
Patrick.
Ooh.
That's your Irish name. Hello, my name is Patrick. Patrick. I come from the Shire down by the pub. Anyway. But yeah, I think that's where inner peace comes from.
Yeah.
That's where that peacefulness. And when you get that feeling, when you feel that once, twice, 3 times, that becomes your new drug of choice.
And I think that's why people who stay single too long remain single.
Then you better get in a relationship, yo.
Yeah, because like I feel that when you get a taste of that peacefulness, and it's funny we're having this conversation this morning because yesterday night I was talking to my mom.
I love it when you say yesterday night. Can I just say that?
Why?
You say that so often.
I do?
Yesterday night.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if that's a Canadian or a Quebec thing or
What should I say? Yesterday evening?
yesterday, last night.
Oh well, I'm just being precise. I'm all about the details.
But I like yesterday night. That's fun.
So yesterday night I'm talking to my mom, right? And we're talking. She's asking me how I'm at and stuff, and I'm like, this whole relationship stuff. As much as I love, and everybody who knows me or listens to me knows this, right? I love, but right now I'm in this era where love has done nothing but hurt me so far. And I'm like, I'm very at peace with that, with my past and everything that's happened. I'm at peace with it. And I'm just like, right now, I'm just choosing to remain in this peace for a while. Now this is what becomes dangerous, because this peace that I have of, no conflicts, no questions, no nothing, just being Brutus. We're doing our thing, right? That gets addictive. And that's why I think a lot of people who are single at a certain age, they stay single a very long time, because every time they meet someone, that person's breaking that peace. And so right off the bat, you're like, well, hold on a second. This person right now is not bringing me extra. They're just taking away and they don't want to settle. Whereas other people, depending on the attachment style, will just be like, you know what? I miss being in a relationship. I'm going to settle for this. And then again, you're going back to that vicious circle where you're not going to be able to have those difficult conversations. You're not going to be able to show yourself completely vulnerable. You're not going to be able to feel that real intimacy or that peace of mind, like you just said.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with all that.
Well, I go back to the show we had with Georgina, and Georgina was on the show. She candidly spoke on a situationship that she was in, and she wasn't really happy. And she's like, oh, yeah, I don't want to pull the Band-Aid off, and da 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 da. And here's me and you listening to her, and she's not by herself. Like Georgina's in situations with, there's 80% of your listeners are probably in the same situation where they're just like, I can't talk to him. I can't this, I can't that. And again, they're scared to set boundaries. They're scared to make those choices. They're scared to make those big decisions. And then 3 days after talking to me and you, I asked Georgina, and I'm like, how's it going? I'm like, she ended it. I'm done. So sometimes it just takes people on a podcast to tell you what to do, really. And
it kind of reminds me of politics. And I don't want to talk about politics, but
and that's the end of the show.
No, we're not going to go there. But it kind of reminds me of the whole concept of it. Like you put, here in Canada, you put 4 candidates, right? And then you got to pick one between the 4. And most of the time, you got to pick the less stupid one, right? The one that, that guy's the least stupidest in the
candidates in Canada.
Yeah, there's a few. I might be wrong
end?
about this. Well, not at the end. No, it's just like you have like different parties, right? You guys have the Liberals and the.
We have Democrat and Republican.
Sorry, on our side, it's our side.
Yeah,
Liberals.
You have Liberals, PC.
Yeah, then we have like fucking all kinds of groups with colors. The Green Party, the NDP.
Oh,
blah,
NDP,
blah, blah, blah.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember NDP.
So I'm not gonna get in there because it's not something I know very well.
Okay.
But here's what I'm saying is it reminds me of politics. When I get to that voting table, I'm not like, hey, I'm gonna pick this one because he's my favorite. I'm like, I'm gonna vote for this one because I feel like this is the person that's gonna put us in the least shit as possible, right? It kind of reminds me of relationships. Like people are doing that in relationships. They're just like, this is not the best person for me, But, for now, it's convenient. It's, making me pass the time. It's changing my ideas. So I'm going to settle for this one. It's the same thing. Whereas you should be like, hell no, I'm going to go with the best one.
That's brilliant. What you just said was absolutely brilliant. And maybe in relationships, every 4 years, you should have an election, relationship election, not erection, election. And don't make it mean, but like maybe every 4 years or you can choose you have to come up with a campaign with your partner that we made some mistakes. We spent too much money in taxes and we did this, just like a political, but come up with the reasons on, why we should go to therapy. I don't want to say we need to leave each other. I'm changing candidate.
You're putting the efforts. Yeah.
But I think every 4 years in a relationship election, you can say, hey, is this an election year for our relationship? Yes. Oh, now they have to come up at a certain day, come up with solutions on the mistakes they've made in the past 4 years and how they're going to better themselves for the next 4 years to come. And we're going to go forward. And obviously they're going to vote for you. But I think it's a self-check moment. It's one of those moments where you can self-check. Hey, in the last 4 years, I did a lot of stupid shit and made her mad 27,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her. I do want to be with this person. I really believe this person is my person.
But is it what you voted for?
But is that what I voted for? And we're going to talk about this. And we're going to have an election. Okay. Yeah. And then you're going to have this moment and make it fun. You could have fun with this. You can have what do they call it when they have like not open forums, but
you get your side chick involved and they have a debate.
You have 4. So then you invite 4 new people in your life instantly. During an election year, you're allowed to go get 4 new partners.
Yeah.
And then they have to go against that partner. And at the end, you have Survivor where they have a torch and they have, and you vote them off the island.
That's terrible. That's a terrible idea. I like the relationship assessment and not the whole debating with the side chicks though. That's not cool.
No, but the side chicks, no, absolutely. Yeah. But I just think, if there's a time in a relationship where you say every July we go on vacation and on July 3rd, or that vacation we take together in July or August, whatever the case may be, that's our check-in. It's our check-in week. We go away.
Should you do it on the vacation though? That could scrap your vacation.
Said you don't like doing that on vacations, but I'm just thinking when you're on vacation, especially if you have kids. Okay, kids are going to mom's for the weekend. If you have kids, like send the kids away. Yeah, and it's going to be a weekend of us. What do you want to do? Like if your one partner loves to go, I don't know, golfing. Okay, we're going to go golf in the morning and then we're going to go get manicures and pedicures in the afternoon. Cause that's like, I love manicures and pedicures too. So like, whatever, like we're going to do something that we both like. Yeah. And we're going to go somewhere and we're going to talk about the things that you wrote down, some of the hard things. And we're going to discuss this. We're going to talk. We may get angry. We're going to cry. We're going to embrace. And then we're going to fuck like bunny rabbits later at the hotel. And then we're going to drive home. We're going to drive home and pick up the kids and go on with the next year. I just think that self-assessment thing is really good because you learn in those moments how to have difficult conversations.
Exactly.
And there's and what's coming. When I asked you about the money, when you told me about the money, I didn't know it was coming. So what did I do instantly? My dukes went up. I was in defense mode because I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready to have the conversation because I thought the money was in there for the bachelor party. It's going to be an amazing bachelor party and we're going to have fun. And you spent the money. I wasn't ready for it. Right. And I think if we're going to go into this, say, hey, tomorrow at 3:00 when I get back, I want to talk to you about the financial situation for the bachelor party. At least I'm kind of ready. Cause then I'm thinking, wow, he put more money in, or maybe there's some money. Like at least I'm ready for the fight or for the discussion or for the whatever you call it, I think that's really healthy.
Yeah, it is. It just makes those hard conversations easier.
Well, yeah. So,
what else you got? You have anything else on hard discussions to hit me with?
Hard discussions? No, not really. I think I said. Do you want to bring anything up? Because it's all of me.
I'm just gonna say they're gonna happen. Okay, there's no relationship that I know that doesn't have hard conversations. None. What I will say though is that the best relationships that are around me are the ones that have hard conversations and that they get through it.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of people think the opposite. There's a lot of people right now, I think, that the moment it gets tough, the moment hard conversations start happening, again, they avoid, right? Oh no, this is not the person for me, because in their head, they're convinced they're in a fairy tale relationship that, arguments don't happen. So the moment something happens, they're like, this is not the person for me. Relationships, to me, there's not supposed to be any fighting. There's not supposed to be any argument. They're looking for perfection. I'm sorry to tell you, that does not exist. Let me repeat, that does not exist. So
I'm going to throw something at you here. So I'm going to bring
it
it into context now of my life, and my life with a beautiful boy that has autism. Dante has a very limited vocabulary, very, very limited. Okay.
Right.
So again, we're not only talking about your buddy spending money for the bachelor party, which I'm still pissed he did. I'm not talking just about your spouse or your wife or partner. What when it comes to your kids, and you want to have those tough conversations with your kids? Now, the population of families out there that have kids with special needs, like myself, some of them are very verbal, high functioning. But with Dante, I can't have those conversations with him about anything, because if it changes any sort of routine with him, he gets very angry. Okay. And as of a couple of days ago, so he had a caregiver that was here for the longest time, for 2 years, Dan. We talked about Dan many times. And Dan's moved on with life. He just got married to a beautiful, beautiful woman, and they're starting their lives together. We were at their wedding a couple of weeks ago. So happy for them. But Dan's gone. Dan's out of Dante's life, right? I really believe that's affecting Dante right now, because he's been there for so long, and all of a sudden he's gone. And I can't talk to my son about this, because all he does is he scripts movies. That's the way he's able to process. He does Shrek, and he does all these different scripting.
Shut up, Steve.
I was waiting for you to say that. Like he does Blue's Clues. He does all these different things. So I know he's struggling, right? But when he's struggling, he doesn't have the words to say these things. And it turns out to be that you ask him and he repeats things back to you, because that's echolalia. How are you? How are you? He just repeats it back to you. And yesterday or the day before, I was trying to talk to him. He got violent with one of his caregivers. He hit one of the caregivers, and she was shaken to the core because it scared her, right? I came home. I was upset with Dante, very, very upset, because this happened, right? So my instant reaction was to approach him with anger. I was mad at him because he did this, right? And I was like, you don't do these things, and da-da-da. And I was telling me, like, and he wanted to go do something that in the afternoon. And I was like, we're not going. No, you sealed your fate because you did this. You hit somebody, right? And he looked at me, Pat, with these eyes of anger, and he swiped my glasses off me. He just came up and swiped my glasses right off. And he ran to his room, and I thought he was going to do. So I went to his room, and I had to put him in a hold. I don't know if you know what that is. Basically, you're holding them so they don't hurt themselves. And Dante's a big kid, dude, right?
Yeah, he's a big kid.
And I had to do that. And it affected me so badly because I had to put him on a hold. And I know how bad it was for him. I know how hard it was for him. It's hard for everyone involved in those moments because Dante's very empathetic. He's caring, but he can't communicate. He can't say these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that affects me. And it affects everyone in the house. And then at nighttime, I'm laying there and my partner is clearly upset. I'm upset. Everyone's upset. And it all had to do with having a conversation with somebody that can't speak to you.
Right.
So
I can't imagine, by the way.
Yeah. And so I want to just take a minute here I know there's a lot of families, and a lot of my social following is a lot of families with kids with special needs that deal with this. And trust me, what I just told you about Dante is so minute compared to what some families deal with, Pat. Some families get put in a hospital because their kids get upset because they can't communicate. So it's horrific what people deal with. And I hear it all the time. But to those families out there that are dealing with situations like myself, with someone with special needs that can't communicate, or with someone in your home, if you're caregiving for someone with dementia, whatever the case may be, in that world, again, how do you communicate those difficult things with someone that can't respond to you? And I think what it comes down to is the inner peace that you have with someone that you can communicate with, that feeling that, hey, we had this conversation. You need to take some of those skills of calmness and don't get into that fight or flight. And you need to try to be to a level where your psyche, your emotions are not involved, and try to like understand where they're coming from. And I've heard, like I said, I've heard horror stories, but I just wanted to bring that up because there's two sides of this, right? There's two sides to, like, I can have a conversation with you and you text me about wanting to be alone for a couple of days or wanting to be alone for a while. But if you told that to me, or if I was really stressed out about something and you were trying to get something from me and I couldn't talk to you and I couldn't tell you, think how stressful that is for you, that I can't even you can't even understand what's wrong with me. You know,
I've been there. That's the thing, you know, like I've been on both sides of the metal. So I have that understanding. And I think,
say more. Tell me more. What are you talking about?
I think as an anxious attachment, you know, you do a lot more self-assessment than an avoidant. Let's be real. Okay.
As an anxious attachment, absolutely.
Yeah. So the anxious attachment knows how they feel, but they do a lot of putting themselves in the other person's shoes also, right? Because you're especially if you're an overthinker, you're thinking about all this stuff, right? Whereas the avoidant doesn't do that. So they don't even know how they feel. So how can you expect them to imagine how you could feel in a situation? It doesn't come to them. It doesn't work. So me being, you know, an old anxious attachment, it's still a little bit of anxious tendencies. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
I'm able to understand that. So when I sent you that text, I knew how it was going to make you feel. I knew how, you know, I thought it was going to make you feel. And that's why I reiterated on it. And I told you, Mario, this is nothing. I remember I told you word for word. I said, this has nothing to do with you. And I said that, you know, 2 or 3 times on the phone call.
You did not say that on the
Not on the text, but when we called, you know, I really told you, hey, listen, you know, and I think the next morning I texted you too, no? And I said, hey, just want, you know, I want to let you know, I appreciate the support, appreciate you being there. I remember doing like a little follow-up because I've been on that side of the metal. Here's
why you did a follow-up. I texted you right away after, like I gave you some time, but I did text you a little bit after that. I said, and I'm paraphrasing now because we text so much and I was going to look at my phone, but it's probably like 400 text messages back. But What I said to you is like, I appreciate that you need some time. However, I'm not trying to make this about me. However, if you could just, you know, I was basically asking you, it's like, this is hurting me inside right now because I don't know what's going on. So maybe you can give me some point forms or just let me know that you're okay so I can sleep tonight. You know, I need to be able to sleep tonight, basically. And again, you just said your anxious attachment, like it's still there, you know, it's still a little bit there. I believe the anxious attachment that you and I still have in us, heightens the secure attachment even more. Do you know what I mean by that? Like when you have those moments, you're like, yeah, I'm having that moment, but the reality of it is secure attachment kicks in, you know?
Yeah. I'm not going back to that.
It's letting, excuse me. It lets anxious attachment know that you're validated. Like, hey, I understand you're scared right now. It makes total sense. You're not going to be alone. And if you're going to be alone, it's going to be for a very short time because the people in your life really do love you and they're there for you. And then it's like, it makes that, it's like the baby. It's like, oh, okay, Papa. Thank you. You know. Yeah. And then secure attachment takes the wheel. It's like, I got this, you know?
Yeah.
So, so that's a really nice circle that we did this morning. But
yeah, nice.
And for those of you listen,
hope it helps.
We're all dealing with a lot right now. And Pat's dealing with a lot. I'm dealing with a lot. But I wanted to swing back to what I mentioned earlier, that currently the Got It podcast is looking for a new manager.
Not a new one.
A new one. Well, not me. Put it that
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
A
Just
new
one.
Yeah, replacing
We're looking for
replacing me.
one.
So
Yeah.
currently, the way we have the podcast is to a point now where it's bringing in a lot of new listeners and a lot of new engagement that we're having on our social media. Between myself, Pat, we have almost 700,000 to 800,000 followers. Now that we're over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, there's some new opportunities that I think that are there. But because we're both so busy and the engagements in the millions every month on our social platform, I really believe that we need someone to be able to manage us. And it's not like getting rid of, like, I want to replace things that I'm doing. And we have people that are helping us on the show and trying to get us through and like keep us organized. But we need a manager that is going to be able to guide us with this show, get paid and compensated from the sponsorship that this person goes out and seeks for us and talks to. Like, we have sponsors, they would call the sponsors and negotiate money that sponsors the show. And Pat and I have agreed that we're going to give them a nice chunk of that sponsorship. And I think that makes sense. And you can do this anywhere. You can do this from anywhere.
Remote job. Remote job. I got to be sales driven for sure.
Yeah.
Got to be sales driven.
And a good communicator, very good communicator. No anxious attachment need to apply. No, I'm just kidding. But just a good communicator that believes in what Pat and I are doing. And that's the big thing. You need to, we want you, I mean, you don't have to believe 100%, but if you agree that what we're doing is important and you want us to continue doing this, like, we need someone to manage us. So if you're listening and you have managerial and good communication skills and know people, are okay talking to people and trying to negotiate deals for us, basically we just are looking for you. And you can send us an email at info@gottedpod.com and one of us will contact you because we would love to talk to you.
There you go.
Anything to add about that, too?
No. We're at that point.
That pretty much sums it up, right?
Yeah, we're at that point. I mean, we pulled out the stats. Right? I told you the amount of reach is insane. It's getting difficult.
It's insane. I think tough. The last one you sent me was in 1 month. I had to go look at the date, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is 1 month!" And it was like 2.3 million.
I'm at 3.2 in the same month now.
Yeah, like that just went up. Incredible. So, like, there's industries that we would love to talk about on this show. That really reflect what we're doing, that are trying to get exposure and they're trying to engage more people. So we are a great platform for that. So please, if you want to manage us, let us know, and we'd love to.
We want to be managed.
We want to be managed. But on that note, I'm going to start my day, and I hope everyone has a gorgeous, beautiful weekend. As I mentioned today, we're filming today, which is Juneteenth. Here in the United States.
It is Juneteenth.
Today's in
Canada too.
Is it in Canada too?
Yeah.
It is? Okay. Sorry. I didn't know you guys have that.
We have the same date. It's crazy because we have the same date in the United States and in Canada.
In Canada? I thought
it's
it was
also
the 20th in Canada.
No. We got the same date as you guys.
But
crazy, right?
Again, with everything that's going on in the world right now, continue to smile and continue just to make, do the best version of you every single day and make people around you love you.
Kill them with kindness.
Have a beautiful and great weekend. Pat, do you have any plans for the weekend?
I got some friends that are moving into their brand new house, their first house. So I'm going to be helping them for the weekend. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're moving something for the weekend. That sounds
again.
Horrific. That sounds
this is only like probably my 60th move for Frank. I'm a yes man, right?
Yeah. Hey, can you help me move? Absolutely, I'll help you.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Well, anyway, everyone, continue to follow, continue to share, continue to subscribe, and continue to do all those good things. And be sure to follow us on our social pages, on our personal social pages. Pat's going to be doing some more new, amazing lives on his TikTok coming up. So make sure you guys go over to his TikTok, and his TikToks are a blast to be on. So go to check his lives. We should do another battle someday, dude. That was fun.
Let's do it. I'm going to be, I'm going live about 10 hours a week now. So it's been announced, instead of 2, it's going to be 10 now.
That's
so
awesome.
Be prepared.
That's awesome. Anyway, everyone have a beautiful week, and Pat, have a
Thanks,
great
Mario.
weekend.
You too, buddy.
Great show, and I love you, and have a great day.
Love you too, brother. Ciao.